Right, grade 5 and 6, hopefully you read the book A Colour of His Own, and it's about a chameleon, and today we're going to make a landscape in which our chameleon can live and hide, just like the story. So to make your landscape, you're going to need paper and pencil and water, and you're going to need your water-soluble textas, so a whole packet of textas. If you've got different colours, that would be awesome. And we're going to make a lizard landscape. The chameleons that the grade 3/4s are making are large chameleons, so just like the storybook, they're making a large chameleon, and they're either doing that using texta or they're doing it using crayon. So if you feel like that's something that you want to do, you can go to the 3/4 lesson. So the grade 5/6 lesson is a slightly different one. We're going to try and create a landscape, so either a landscape of rocks or a landscape where you have a tree and then rocks, and we're going to just hide the chameleon inside our landscape. So to make this landscape, you're going to need paper that's just a little bit thicker than normal paper. If you use regular paper, it's okay, but I've got paper from my scrapbook, it's a bit thicker. What you want to do is you want to draw a landscape. Either going to do 2 layers of rocks, so rocks in the foreground, rocks in the background, or you're going to do a tree with rocks. I think I'm just going to do rocks for this one. So I'm going to do rocks of different shapes and sizes. And rocks that come off the page, and rocks in the background. That's my rocks. It's really easy, really simple. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to draw around your rocks using texta. So I have got quite thick texta. If you don't have thick texta, you might need to do a few layers of texta. So by that I just mean go around it 2 or 3 times. So that's a red one. If you want to, you can do a second colour in the inside. So I'm going to try and do similar colours, so red and pink. I might try dark green and light green, dark blue and light blue, that kind of thing. You don't have to do it this way, you can just do one colour. Don't use black, because black is going to really smudge and bleed into the paper. You will not get great results if you use black at this point. I'll go orange for a big rock. 2, 3 times. Okay, I think I've got a yellow. Yeah, I've got a yellow here somewhere. I'm going to just do a yellow rock here. I might do some brown. So all the colours that you can think of going around the outside. So it's a really easy activity and it doesn't take very long. I haven't used purple yet, so I think I'll use purple on this rock here coming off. Okay, once you've done this, the next thing you're going to do is get some water and a paintbrush. So I'm going to paint around the edge of each rock. So I'm just going to make it just a little bit wet around each edge so that the water can absorb the texture and it can bleed through. So each one gets some water. And then I'm going to go back to the start and I'm going to try and push the colour from the texture into the main body of the rock, so it's no longer white. It looks like expensive watercolour paint. You might not like it now, but when it dries, it looks really effective. So this is why I've used slightly thicker paper, because there's a lot of water content on here. The dark colours work really well. If you're using thin paper and you get a hole, you can just go back and have another just added this. Use a little bit less water. So each rock should be a slightly different colour. Now if you wanted to make a landscape that was a bit more realistic, you could do all brown rocks if you wanted to. Add some red, make it just like ooh. So you're leaving this to dry now, and then hopefully it's going to have an amazing rock texture to it. I did one that's nearly dry. So here's my rocks that look like they're painted, almost dry. So that lovely paint looks amazing. One of the little tricks you can do is you can add just a shine line to the corners. So imagine if the sun was shining down and you wanted to add a line, maybe I'll do it in yellow. You have to just do that line on the same side of every rock. So imagine the sun coming in. Now when you draw your chameleon, I like to do a grey lead chameleon first. So you can choose whatever your chameleon wants to go at the bottom of the rock or on the top. Chameleons are going to be sunbaking quite a lot. So I'm going to just draw my chameleon sunbaking. Looks a bit like a possum. Sunbaking on this rock. I'm hiding him in there. To make my chameleon stand out, I can just go over him with a fine liner, and I can colour him in similar colours to the actual rock itself. So he's a bit orange. I could use an orange pencil just to colour him in, and a bit of pink. Happy sunbaking chameleon, and a bit of yellow. So you can colour your chameleon in. To do the background, I literally just took a ruler and pencil or crayon is good for this, and I just drew lines. For the ground, I did horizontal lines. And for the sky, I did vertical lines. And then I literally just coloured over the top of this using crayon or pencil to make a beautiful painted picture. Sometimes where it smudges a little bit, looks a little bit like a shadow, so I left that because it looks really nice. I'm working on a wooden table, so sometimes if I use crayon, it picks up the pattern. Mine's still a little bit wet. I'll show you the dry ones, and you can see how they ended up. This one is from the grade 3/4s. They did the exact chameleon from the book. So my dried pictures look a little bit like this. I've gone for a painted texture and then a crayon background. This one, I've gone for a more Aboriginal look. So I've gone for more patterns on the rocks. This one I added interest using the tree. And then back here are the 3/4s, doing crayon rubbing chameleons, texta chameleons, crayon chameleons. So depending on what you want to do, my thoughts were that the landscape were a little bit more challenging. If you really want to challenge yourself and make a 3D lizard, I'll put the link in at the bottom to make this 3D lizard, which was hard. I used green paper. Before I made it, I crayon rubbed a texture onto it. I did squish it a little bit, but I made it just to see if it was doable, and it was. So I hope you enjoy Chameleon Week, and you send me your pictures. See you next time. Bye.